Have you ever stood at the edge of a decision and hesitated, paralyzed by fear of what might go wrong? Let me tell you something. Every great achievement in history began with a risk. Whether it was a leap of faith, a bold business move, or standing up for a belief, none of it came without uncertainty. No risk, no reward. It's more than a cliché. It's a law of life. Great achievements always involve risk. This truth is embedded in every story of success, whether in business, science, sports, or personal growth. Behind every invention, breakthrough, or bold decision is someone who is willing to step into uncertainty without any guarantee of success. Taking a risk means stepping out of your comfort zone, challenging the status quo, and pushing past fear and doubt. It means acting not because you are certain of the outcome, but because you believe in the possibility of something greater. Throughout history, progress has been driven by those who dared to take risks. The Wright brothers risked ridicule, injury, and failure when they set out to build the first airplane. Their success didn't come from playing it safe. It came from an unwavering commitment to a vision, despite the very real chance of defeat. Entrepreneurs like Steve Jobs or Elon Musk took massive financial and personal risks to pursue ideas that others thought were foolish. Their journeys were filled with failures, but those failures were stepping stones to monumental success. Risk is not just about dramatic gestures or high-stakes gambles. It shows up in everyday decisions, changing careers, starting a business, expressing your ideas, or even choosing to stand up for what's right. These moments carry emotional, financial, or social risks. Yet, without them, you stay stagnant. Playing it safe may protect you from failure, but it also shields you from growth. Growth is inherently uncomfortable. It asks you to try, to stretch, to sometimes fall short, and then to rise again stronger. Fear of the unknown is natural, but fear alone should not dictate your actions. When you risk failure, you open the door to learning, resilience, and ultimately, success. The people who make a lasting impact are rarely the ones who followed the safest path. They are the ones who took chances knowing they might fall, but trusting that they could also fly. In the end, greatness is never handed to anyone. It is earned by those who are willing to risk something, time, energy, money, or reputation, for something they believe in. Every achievement, big or small, carries with it a story of risk that made the reward possible. Fear of failure is a natural and deeply human emotion. Almost everyone, at some point, experiences the anxiety of not succeeding, of falling short, or of being judged by others. It's a feeling rooted in our desire for acceptance and our instinct to avoid pain. But while fear of failure is common, it should never be the reason you stop yourself from trying. Letting fear control your decisions is like handing over your future to something that doesn't even exist yet. Failure is only a possibility, not a certainty, and often it's not as devastating as our minds imagine it to be. Many people avoid chasing their goals because they are afraid of what might go wrong. They fear embarrassment, disappointment, or the pain of putting in effort without guaranteed results. But the truth is, failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the process. Every successful person has failed. What sets them apart is that they didn't let fear stop them. They understood that failure offers lessons. It reveals weaknesses to improve, strategies to adjust, and inner strength that may have gone unnoticed otherwise. The danger of avoiding failure is that it leads to a life of hesitation and missed opportunities. You may never know your full potential if you never test your limits. Taking action despite fear builds confidence and resilience. Each time you move forward while afraid, you prove to yourself that fear can be managed, and that failure, when it happens, is survivable, and often incredibly valuable. Fear often exaggerates consequences and underestimates your ability to recover. But growth, progress, and innovation come from moving through fear, not avoiding it. The people who grow the most are the ones willing to try, fall, and try again. They don't see failure as a permanent condition, but as feedback that helps them refine their path. You have one life, and it's too precious to spend it wondering what if. Every time fear whispers in your ear, the moments that define us are not the ones where everything went perfectly, but the ones where we faced our fears and acted anyway. Fear of failure is common, but it should never be the reason you hold yourself back from becoming who you're meant to be. Comfort zones limit growth in subtle but powerful ways. They are familiar, predictable, and safe, offering a sense of control that many people find reassuring. In a comfort zone, routines are established, challenges are minimized, and risks are avoided. While this environment can provide temporary peace of mind, it also creates invisible boundaries that restrict personal and professional development. Growth, by its very nature, requires stepping into the unknown, facing discomfort, and challenging oneself. When you remain in your comfort zone for too long, you begin to stagnate not because you lack talent or ambition, but because you're not pushing your limits. True growth begins when you willingly put yourself in situations that stretch your abilities. Whether it's speaking in front of a crowd, starting a new job, learning a difficult skill, or confronting a personal fear, these actions all involve stepping out of your comfort zone. They often bring discomfort and uncertainty, but also the greatest opportunities for learning. Each time you face a new challenge, you gain experience, build resilience, and expand your capabilities. Over time, what once felt intimidating becomes second nature, and your comfort zone grows with you. Remaining within the same routines and familiar spaces may feel safe, but it often leads to missed opportunities. Many people let fear of failure or judgment keep them from pursuing dreams or taking chances that could lead to fulfillment. They settle for what they know, even if it limits their potential. However, the most rewarding experiences, both personally and professionally, rarely come from playing it safe. They come from taking calculated risks and embracing the discomfort that accompanies change. Stepping outside your comfort zone doesn't have to mean making drastic life changes overnight. It can start with small acts of courage. Asking a question in a meeting, trying a new hobby, traveling to an unfamiliar place, or having a difficult conversation. These seemingly minor actions build confidence and prepare you for larger challenges ahead. Over time, you realize that discomfort is not something to fear, but a sign that you're growing. Choosing growth over comfort is not always easy, but it is always worth it. Comfort zones may feel secure, but they rarely lead to transformation. If you want to reach your full potential, you must be willing to stretch beyond what feels safe and familiar. Risk doesn't equal recklessness. This is a distinction that often gets misunderstood, especially when people talk about chasing dreams or stepping into the unknown. Risk involves making a decision that carries the potential for loss, failure, or discomfort, but it is taken with thought, planning, and purpose. Recklessness, on the other hand, is acting without consideration for consequences, driven by impulse rather than intention. While both may appear bold on the surface, only one leads to meaningful progress and growth. Taking risks means you've evaluated your options, weighed the potential outcomes, and decided that the possible reward is worth the uncertainty. It's the entrepreneur who studies the market before launching a new product, the student who chooses a challenging course because they believe in their ability to succeed, or the athlete who trains relentlessly before attempting a new level of competition. These individuals are not diving in blindly, they are moving forward with courage, preparation, and a willingness to adapt. Recklessness lacks that foundation. It's driven by ego, impatience, or desperation. It's quitting a job with no plan, investing money without research, or making major life decisions without understanding the risks involved. These actions can cause harm, because they ignore the importance of foresight and responsibility. Just because something is risky doesn't mean it's foolish. And just because something feels exciting doesn't mean it's wise. The key is intentionality. Responsible risk taking is essential for success. It's about stretching beyond your comfort zone with a clear sense of purpose. You understand there may be setbacks, but you're also ready to learn from them and keep moving forward. In fact, some of the greatest achievements in life come not from avoiding risk, but from managing it intelligently. Pilots, surgeons, CEO, and leaders of all kinds take risks every day, but they do so based on knowledge, training, and sound judgment. People often avoid risk out of fear of being seen as reckless, but when risk is taken thoughtfully, it becomes a stepping stone, not a stumbling block. It builds confidence, creates opportunity, and teaches resilience. Understanding the difference between risk and recklessness helps you take bold steps with clarity, not chaos. It encourages action with intention, not impulse. That's the kind of risk that leads to real reward. Taking risks builds resilience and skills in ways that no amount of routine or safety ever could. When you step outside of your comfort zone and into uncertain territory, you challenge yourself mentally, emotionally, and sometimes even physically. These challenges, while uncomfortable at first, force you to adapt, to think creatively, and to persist through difficulty. Each time you take a risk, whether it's applying for a job you're not sure you're qualified for, starting a new venture, or learning a completely new skill, you grow in your ability to handle setbacks and find solutions. You become more capable, more confident, and more adaptable. Resilience is not something you're born with, it's developed through experience. And the experiences that build it most powerfully are often those that begin with risk. When things don't go as planned, you have to face disappointment, recalibrate, and try again. This process, repeated over time, strengthens your ability to endure challenges and keep moving forward. Instead of fearing failure, you start to see it as part of the journey. You begin to understand that mistakes don't define you. They refine you. Similarly, skill development often accelerates when you're under pressure to perform in unfamiliar situations. Taking a risk forces you to learn quickly, improvise, and adapt. You may discover strengths you didn't know you had, or weaknesses you can now work on improving. It's in these moments of uncertainty that your brain is most engaged, pushing you to sharpen your thinking and expand your abilities. Whether it's communication, decision making, leadership, or problem solving, the skills you gain through risk taking tend to be the ones that matter most in life and work. Taking risks also builds self-trust. When you take a leap and land on your feet regardless of the outcome, you prove to yourself that you are capable of handling the unknown. Even when you fail, you learn that failure isn't final. This self-assurance becomes a foundation for future growth, encouraging you to keep pushing forward, even when the path isn't clear. In a world that's constantly changing, the ability to adapt, learn, and bounce back is more valuable than ever. Risk-taking develops those qualities. It stretches you in the best possible ways and prepares you for whatever challenges lie ahead. The greatest risk is doing nothing. While it may seem safer to stay still, to wait for the right moment, or to avoid making waves, inaction carries its own hidden dangers. Choosing to do nothing can lead to regret, missed opportunities, and a life lived beneath your potential. Often, people avoid taking chances because they fear failure, embarrassment, or loss. But what they don't realize is that by standing still, they are slowly giving up the chance to grow, to succeed, and to discover what they are truly capable of. Doing nothing may protect you from immediate discomfort, but it often results in long-term dissatisfaction. Time passes whether you act or not. Opportunities come and go, and the world moves forward, with or without your participation. When you avoid making decisions or taking steps toward your goals, you fall into patterns of stagnation. You may not experience dramatic failure, but you won't experience meaningful growth either. Days turn into months and eventually into years, and the life you once dreamed of drifts further away. Not because you weren't capable, but because you never tried. Many people look back and regret the chances they didn't take far more than the ones they did. This is because even failure brings clarity and experience, while inaction leaves only uncertainty. You'll never know what could have happened if you don't take the first step. Growth, change, and success all require movement. They require effort and a willingness to take a leap, even when you can't see the entire path ahead. Doing nothing also affects your confidence and self-worth. When you repeatedly choose safety over action, you begin to doubt your own abilities. You start to believe you're not ready, not good enough, or not strong enough to handle the unknown. But in truth, action builds strength, while inaction quietly erodes it. The more you try, the more you learn. The more you fail and recover, the more resilient you become. Taking no risk might feel like control, but it's often fear disguised as logic. Every dream, goal, or improvement you seek requires some kind of risk, of effort, of failure, of discomfort. But doing nothing ensures that none of it will ever happen. The greatest risk isn't falling, it's never taking the chance to rise.